Frida Kahlo. Frida Kahlo was born in 1907 in Mexico City. She is a famous Mexican painter known for her bright colors and self-portraits. She painted about her life and experiences. Frida had pet monkeys, birds, and a giant garden. She often included them in her artwork. She wore beautiful Mexican dresses and often had flowers woven into her long, dark hair. These are some of her dresses that are on display at her home in Mexico City. Frida Kahlo painted many self-portraits. A self-portrait is a painting you create of yourself. It will include your face. Her self-portraits used bright, bold colors. She added symbols from nature and included animals and plants. She would often mix reality with imagination in her paintings. How are these paintings the same? How are they different? One day, Frida was riding on a bus. It had a terrible accident, and she had to stay in the hospital for a month. She then had health problems for the rest of her life. Her father built a painting easel above her bed so she could still paint. This is a painting she made called The Bus. It shows everyone at peace before the accident. Frida Kahlo's self-portraits showed the beauty of where she lived. They also showed how she suffered. What do you notice in this painting? Frida Kahlo also painted still lifes. A still life is a drawing or painting that focuses on still objects. The most common objects are flowers or fruit. Frida Kahlo painted many still lifes over the course of her life. What did she put in this still life? She often included fruit that was cut open and statues of animals. This is the last painting she created. How does it make you feel? These paintings were created by kids who were inspired by Frida Kahlo. What do you notice about these paintings? It's your turn to create. Let's go to the drawing board. For today's lesson, you need a pencil. You need some quick sticks or tempera paint, a glue stick, a few sticks of oil pastel, a pair of scissors, and then for your background, this is going to be the bottom of my still life, and this is going to be the background of my still life, but these could be any color you want. And then you need a sheet of either watercolor paper or a heavier drawing paper. We're going to be using quick sticks on this, so the quick sticks, they dry really quickly, so just a slightly heavier paper is okay, but if you're using tempera paint, then you're going to need to use watercolor paper. Now the first thing I want to do is prepare my background, and so we are going to be sitting on here just like this. And so I want to be able to just take a little bit of color up into my background. So I'm going to go ahead and for mine, just take a blue quick stick. You could use some blue tempera on top of your construction paper. And I just want to add some texture back in here. And I can do it any way I want. I can just be wild and free. I'm not trying to cover the whole thing. I am literally just making it a little more interesting. And I might decide in some areas that I do want it darker, and I might push my color a little bit. But I don't have to. I'm just adding in a little bit of color. And I'm going to do the same thing to my yellow paper. I'm going to just take once again and add in a little bit of a texture. It doesn't show up quite that much on my yellow, but it still does a little bit, which makes for a more interesting background. And I could play with my quick sticks even more if I wanted to, but I want to keep mine really, really simple. Now I'm going to just take and flip this over. And this sheet was 4 inches by 12 inches if you were wanting to know. I'm going to take my glue stick and glue this down. Now it's really important that I really glue down clear to my edges. And a little bit in the middle. So now that I have my background made, I'm going to go ahead and set it aside and let it to dry. And now I'm going to go ahead and start to draw different kinds of fruit. Now, I can make as much fruit as I want. Frida often used tons of fruit, so it's really your choice. I'm going to start with a watermelon. Your watermelon can be big, it could be small. And at the same time, I think I'm going to make a slice of watermelon. I'm going to do both. And after I get it drawn, if I want to go in and take color in, I can. And with the quick sticks, you just open them up and you use them kind of like a glue stick. And you want to get nice, bright color. And it's okay if you go over the lines a little bit, because when you go to cut it out, you can just cut it off. So you'll see how I went a little bit past my pencil lines. That doesn't really matter. When I'm done, I go ahead and roll it back in. And I think it's really nice with quick sticks when you use a couple of colors. It will make it a little bit more interesting. So I always like to go in and use just a couple of colors with a quick stick. And it will make your watermelon look a little bit more sophisticated and realistic. And now I could keep drawing fruit. I could draw oranges, lemons, maybe that's an orange. I'm going to make a couple of oranges. So you'll notice how in my oranges I use a medium orange, a dark orange, and a yellow. And it gave me a lot more interest and variety in those oranges. You could draw lemons too. If you want a lemon shape, you take and make a curve and a curve. And then at the end, you just kind of put a little bump. You could make limes. You could make a plum. You can really make any kind of fruit that you want. I just recommend using a couple of colors on each one to make your fruit get a little bit more interesting. Frida often puts in a Mexican flag with her fruit. If you wanted to make a Mexican flag, you can. You're going to just draw a rectangle with 2 lines going down. And then add in your color. I could just leave my white, and when I cut that out, it's going to clean it up. She often puts in birds as well, and I have kind of run out of room here, so I'm going to go ahead and get another sheet of paper. So if you want yours to be really full, you could take and get a second sheet. Now if you wanted to put in a bird, you start with a circle shape. You then add in a curve for its belly and a curve for its back. and you add in a tail. You can add an eye and a beak. And then you can decide whatever kind of color you want for your bird. She puts in different colors for hers. I think I'm going to play with some greens and yellows for mine. Oh, and don't forget the wing. And remember, once again with the quick sticks, it is okay if you go out of your lines with them, because you can just cut it out afterwards. And I think it's going to be really hard to control to get into that beak. So I'm actually going to use my oil pastel on here. And my oil pastel in for the eye. Now I do need to finish these watermelon. And to finish these watermelon, I take first and put white at the edge for a rind. So I kind of go on to my red a little bit, and I add in just a little bit of white pastel. I then take my dark green pastel and go below that, and I'm going to put in my rind. I can take and make some black seeds if I want to. Frida Kahlo made watermelon before there was seedless watermelon. So her watermelon had seeds in it. So you just make a little curve with a little point up at the top. You can also put stems in on your fruit, or like the little button. So you can go in and put in a little stem onto your fruits if you want to. And now you're ready to start getting everything cut out. So you're just going to go ahead and take and cut out every single item. So I'm now going to take my background and I'm going to start to do a little bit of building. So I can start to lay in my different items. And before I glue, I might want to first just see where I want items to go. So if I'm not quite certain yet, I can take and place things wherever I want them to be. And I might decide that I think I need more than that, and if I need more than that, I could just keep cutting out more pieces of fruit until I'm happy. So if I want, I could just keep adding more and more. I kind of like where mine is at right now, so I'm going to start to glue. Now when I glue, I need my things in the background to be glued first. So I'm going to really want to glue down my watermelon first. I'm going to want to glue down my flag. I also am going to need some kind of a stick for my flag to be on, so I could take just one of my scraps if I wanted to make a little stick for my flag. So I'm going to move my other things to the side. And now when I glue, once again, I want to go right out to my edges, because I don't want things peeling up. So I'm going to go clear to my edges, and then I'm going to go ahead and take and place my item down, really pushing it down solid. And then I can take and place my next items on top. Now I could leave it like that, or if I wanted to add in more, I could just keep taking in and adding more. I could make it really, really full if I wanted to. So know that if you're not quite happy, just keep making fruit and see how I can just add in as much as I want to. I could make it crazy if I really wanted lots of fruit. And so sometimes she made hers really, really full like this. Sometimes she left them a little more simple. But what's nice about this process is because you're collaging. So a collage is when you take and you add multiple things into an art piece. But because you're collaging, you can really be like, I like it, I don't like it. So you can really take things in or out depending on what you want for your art piece. I hope you enjoyed learning about collage and Frida Kahlo. Thanks for joining me today. Bye-bye.